Get ready to throw logic out the window and let pure luck find the card. This self-working stunner can be performed with any shuffle deck, contains no difficult moves, and is guaranteed to wow. So, grab a deck, hit subscribe for more confidence building tutorials, and let's uncover a miracle. Okay, so as ever, let's just kickstart by taking a look at the effect itself, a seemingly utterly impossible location. And we're going to start with a shuffled deck. So just hand the cards to a spectator. They can shuffle those as much as they like. The cards really are mixed. We now want the spectator to make a random selection. So you're just going to take the deck here and deal 2 piles of 5 cards to the table. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're now going to ask the spectator to select one of these piles. It's a totally free choice. They can select any pile. Let's say they select the pile just here. You're going to ask the spectator to take these cards and just give them a shuffle. And once they're happy, then just to take a look at the bottom card and remember this as their selected card. So here we can see, in this instance, the 7 of diamonds. And once the spectator has remembered that, you're now going to ask them to mix the cards even further. But to make sure they're properly mixed, to do so as follows. To deal 1 card from the top to the bottom of the pack, and then 1 card to the table, and to repeat this for all of the cards. So 1 card to the bottom and 1 card to the table. You're now going to ask the spectator to take the rest of the deck and to deal cards any way they like on top of the selected pile. So they may choose to deal individual cards or multiple cards. It's entirely up to the spectator. They really can deal any number of cards and in any way that they like. And once the spectator is happy, just ask them to take their pack here and to place it on top of the other pack. And finally, for good measure, ask the spectator now to take the remainder of the deck over here to give these cards a shuffle. They really can shuffle these cards as much as they like, and once they're happy, just to place these on top of the deck. At this point, you can just emphasize that the spectator's card is now well and truly lost. There's absolutely no way that you could know the identity of the card or where that card now is. However, you can explain that sometimes chaos leads to order, and so now we're going to mix things up even further and in the most random of ways. So ask the spectator to take the deck in preparation for dealing 4 random piles of cards to the table. And you're going to ask them to do so as follows, by dealing 1 card face up to the table and starting to count from 10. So 10. And you're going to ask them to continue dealing cards whilst continuing to count down from 10 to 1 until they find a card matching the value of their counted number. So just as follows, that was 10, remember, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Now there's a number 3 matching the counted number 3. So the spectator will stop dealing here and move on to the next pile. Again, dealing a card and starting to count from 10, 10, and continuing down to 1. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now in this pile, the spectator hasn't found a matching number, so they're going to close this pile off by placing the next card face down. And they'll now move on to the 3rd pile, again counting down from 10, 10, and straight away we have a match. So the spectator will stop dealing here and move on to the final pile, starting to count down again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, with no matching number in this pile, the spectator will close this off by placing the next card face down. At this point, you can just emphasize to the spectator that the dealt piles and the visible cards are totally random, dealt from a shuffled deck. There is absolutely no way that you could have known which cards would be dealt where. You're now going to ask the spectator to generate a random number by adding up the total of the visible cards. So in this case, we have a 3 and a 10. The total equals 13. Asking the spectator to remember that number 13 and reminding them of just how random it is, you can ask them just to gather up the piles. You're now going to take the rest of the deck over here and you're going to count down to that randomly generated number. So in this instance, the number 13. So just counting cards to the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, placing the final card to the side. Reminding the spectator that they had a free choice of card from a shuffled deck and that the cards have been mixed multiple times along the way. For the very first time, you can now ask the spectator to name their selected card. Of course, in this instance, it was the 7 of diamonds, and now you can reveal that this card right here, found through an act of random dealing, just happens to be the 7 of diamonds. Okay, so let's take a look at the secret to this effect. Now you really can start with the spectator shuffling the cards as much as they like. It all adds to the impact. You're just now going to take the deck and you're going to deal 2 piles of 5 cards each to the table. You're going to ask the spectator to select one of these piles. It really is a totally free choice. Let's say they select the pile just here. Ask the spectator to take these cards. If they like, they can give them a shuffle. And once they're happy, to take a look at the bottom card and remember this as their selection. So in this instance, we can see the 5 of hearts. You're now going to ask the spectator to take this pack and to mix the cards as follows by moving the top card to the bottom of the pack and then dealing 1 card to the table and repeating this for all of the cards. 1 card to the bottom and 1 card to the table. With the mixing complete, the spectator's card is now the second from top card in this pile, which means when the cards are reconstructed, the selected card will be the 9th card from the bottom of the deck, which makes this trick work. Ask the spectator now to take the rest of the deck here and to deal any number of cards they like on top of their selected pile. And it's a totally free choice. They can deal individual cards or they can deal multiple cards. It's totally up to them. Once they're happy, ask them to take their selected pile here and just place it on top of the upper pile of cards. And finally, just to take the remaining cards here, to give these a shuffle. They can shuffle these as much as they like and then place these on top of the deck. At this point, if you like, you can perform some full shuffles or cuts of your choice just to make it look as though things really are mixed. With the selected card exactly where you need it, you're now going to ask the spectator to deal 4 piles of random cards to the table. So starting with the first pile, they're going to deal the face-up card whilst counting 10. They'll now continue to deal cards whilst counting down from 10 to 1 until they hit a card that matches their counted number. So in this case, that's 10, 9, here's a matching card, the number 9. And once they hit a match, they'll move on to the next pile. So starting on the second pile, again counting 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the event of no card matching the count, ask the spectator to take the next card and just place it face down on the pile. Ask the spectator now to repeat exactly the same process for the other 2 piles. Now, just a note, during this process, you can ignore any picture cards. They don't count. With 4 piles now dealt, you can just ask the spectator to add up the visible cards to create a single number. So in this instance, that's 9 plus 1, the total is 10. With the piles gathered up, you can just take the rest of the cards and now deal down to that number. So in this instance, the number 10. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10, placing the final card to the side. Asking the spectator for the first time to name their selected card, you can now reveal the miracle that this card right here is indeed their card. In this instance, the 5 of hearts. And there you have it. Remember, beyond the trick, the confidence you're building here is the real magic that will help you succeed everywhere. So keep practicing and keep amazing everyone around you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.